1 Saturday Night News. Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
The Enron collapse. The investigation heats up. Were Enron employees and investors misled?
Some very serious things happen with Enron.
War on terror. The Marines recover and honor those killed this week, while Afghanistan asks for $45 billion to rebuild. In depth, the testing debate. The superintendent who targeted the youngest kids to make the grade.
I chose to do what I call educational triage. I had 3 dying patients. I concentrated on the youngest.
Home of the brave, a forgotten hero, and the battle to honor him almost 75 years after his death.
There has been a great wrong done in history.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler. Substituting tonight, Lester Holt.
And good evening, everyone. Congress tonight is arming itself with new evidence in the Enron investigation. A 5-month-old email from the company's chairman has tonight become central to the question of whether company executives misled employees about Enron's true financial shape. Employees may have lost billions in retirement savings when Enron collapsed. NBC's Nora O'Donnell is at the White House now with more. Nora?
Good evening, Lester. Tonight, as Congress prepares to launch a full-scale investigation into the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history, they are asking new questions about Enron's activities as it spiraled toward collapse. On Capitol Hill, investigators were working overtime, sending a letter to Enron CEO Ken Lay, asking if he misled employees about the company's dire financial straits. In an August email, Lay wrote, "I have never felt better about the prospects for the company." 2 months later, Lay called Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill to say Enron was on the verge of bankruptcy. Today, the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Henry Waxman, told Lay his statements create the appearance that you misled Enron employees about the value of their investments and the security of their jobs. Today, an Enron spokesman said Lay was telling the truth, and the company's financial problems didn't become clear until later. Congress has issued 51 subpoenas and will begin hearings on Capitol Hill later this month.
The question is whether or not they acted appropriately.
Democrats also want to know more about the close ties between Enron and the Bush administration. Between late October and early November, Enron officials spoke by phone with Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill, Commerce Secretary Don Evans, Energy Secretary Spence Abraham, and Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan.
There's nothing illegal about that or necessarily improper, but it poses a political problem for President Bush.
The White House insists no action resulted from those calls, or one by President Clinton's former Treasury Secretary, Robert Rubin. Rubin's spokesman tells NBC News Rubin did ask the Bush administration in November to intervene to help Enron, but the call was not made at Enron's request, and the matter was later dropped. White House officials support an investigation into what went wrong with Enron, but they dismiss the idea that there will be any serious political fallout from this, and they warn the public won't stand for a politically motivated fishing expedition by congressional Democrats. Lester?
Thank you, Nora. A program note, the Enron investigation will be one of Tim Russert's topics tomorrow on Meet the Press. Among his guests, Commerce Secretary Don Evans. In the war on terror, 5 more Americans who paid the ultimate price will soon be on their way home. They are the first to be recovered of the 7 Marines killed in the crash of a tanker plane in Pakistan and honored today by their colleagues overseas. NBC's Pat Dawson has more.
For the Marines still in Kandahar, it was solemn duty. A memorial for 7 fallen comrades, the flight crew whose refueling tanker crashed into these mountains across the border in Pakistan. Today, the remains of 5 crew members recovered from the wreckage high above Pakistan's Shamsi Air Base. Though no hostile fire seems to have been involved, it remains the single most deadly incident for U.S. forces since the war began. An irony not lost on the Marines chaplain, pointing out that it raised the single most difficult question of any war.
We're always asking why. Why do strong young men and some women have had to end their life.
At the same time, Pakistani soldiers continued in the hunt for the world's most elusive terrorist in one of the world's most remote and lawless areas, just across the mountainous border with Afghanistan near the Khyber Pass. For 20 of the al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters already captured, the first day of captivity 8,000 miles away at Guantanamo Bay ended without incident.
Everything was calm and according to our plan.
What is anything but routine, the captives' legal status, designated by the U.S. as unlawful combatants, not prisoners of war, a significant legal distinction under international laws and treaties.
A typical prisoner of war can't be tried simply for being a prisoner of war, or simply for having fought in a particular war. These individuals, if they were engaged in unlawful combat, can in fact be tried.
In effect, the Bush administration is arguing that many of the al-Qaeda and Taliban members should be treated as criminals, not POWs, since acts of terrorism don't fit any legal definition of warfare under international conventions. Pat Dawson, NBC News, New York.
Now to the cost of rebuilding Afghanistan. The U.S. has assured the Afghan government it won't cut and run when the war is over. But can the U.S. afford what Afghan officials are asking for? NBC's Chip Reed reports.
Senator Biden, Mr. Chairman. In Kabul today, Afghan leader Hamid Karzai had a blunt message for visiting U.S. Senator Joe Biden.
Like a lot of your money to come to Afghanistan.
Rebuilding this shattered nation, Afghan officials said today, will require at least $45 billion in international aid over the next 10 years.
I think this government is really going along on actually nickels and dimes now. It needs some help immediately.
Putting together an aid package will take time, but Biden says there's another way to shake money loose fast.
What I did raise was the possibility of getting some economic help here quickly. There's frozen assets that exist, Taliban assets.
As much as $200 million that U.S. officials say could be freed up for Karzai's government within weeks. But as important as money is, Karzai, in an interview with NBC News today, said Afghanistan's most urgent crisis is the heavily armed militias who roam the streets of Kabul, answering to powerful warlords who in the early 1990s dragged this nation into a 5-year civil war. Fearing the worst, Karzai has ordered the militias to leave the city.
There's no way that we will allow the continuation of gangs with arms around the streets and villages of Afghanistan. If we fail to provide security to the Afghan people, all bad guys will reemerge.
One group of bad guys Karzai is confident will not return is the Taliban. Today in western Afghanistan, bodies were recovered from a mass grave, believed to be victims of a Taliban slaughter in 1999.
Karzai also told NBC News today his government is committed to finding Osama bin Laden. Karzai said, quote, "He ruined our country, so he's not only your criminal, he's our criminal too." Chip Reed, NBC News, Kabul.
On Tuesday, Secretary of State Colin Powell departs on a trip that will take him to Afghanistan as well as India and Pakistan. Tonight, Powell is praising Pakistan President Musharraf's decision to crack down on extremists in his country. But does the crackdown go far enough to appease neighboring India and bring the two nuclear powers back from the brink of war? Here's NBC's Donna Friesen.
It was a televised address tailored both to the Pakistani people and to the world. General Musharraf vowing to modernize his nation by banishing terrorism and religious extremism.
Pakistan will not allow its territory to be used for any terrorist activity anywhere in the world.
He took direct aim at militant Islamic scholars, accusing them of threatening national security, announcing all mosques must be registered and all religious schools or madrasas considered breeding grounds for religious extremists will be licensed and regulated.
I don't recollect any Pakistani leader trying to engineer such change in the whole of Pakistan's history at such a fundamental level.
But in the conflict with nuclear rival India over Kashmir, Musharraf gave little ground, banning two groups India accuses of attacking its parliament last month, but refusing to hand over the suspects. Musharraf warned India he wants peace, but is ready for war. Please do not try to cross the border, he said. We will respond with all our might to the last drop of our blood.
From India, where the speech was closely watched, no official reaction yet, but one minister tonight sounded optimistic.
If these organizations are crushed by him, and obviously terrorism here will stop.
No one expects India will start pulling back its troops after just one speech. It's always demanded action, not just words. And today, Musharraf did act in advance of his speech, rounding up some 250 Islamic militants, both as a preemptive measure to prevent a backlash on the streets and a sign to India and the world that he's serious about what he says. Donna Friesen, NBC News, Islamabad.
Still to come on NBC Nightly News, in-depth school testing and a remarkable turnaround in one district. And later, at the nation's airports, the heat is on.
Do I play sports? Yeah. Fantasy football.
I'm not trendy enough for a trendy diet.
I would count calories, but I'm not very good at math.
I'd like to run a marathon, but it's quite a long distance.
I diet sometimes, but only in moderation.
If these people can lose weight, so can you. A recent study by a major university found that having a bowl of Kellogg's Special K or Kellogg's Smart Start for 2 meals a day for 2 weeks could help you lose up to 6 pounds.
I feel great. Driveway's almost done.
Clam chowder?
Dense soup. We're adults now. There's a better tasting soup. Progresso New England clam chowder. More chunks of clams and potatoes. See the difference?
This is better.
Now with 50% more clams in every bowl.
You say the word glasses and people think stereotype. But you know, it's just the opposite. There are so many chances to become someone new just by changing your glasses. Come into Lens Crafters. You'll see what I mean. Are you lucky enough to need glasses?
They are the people who make it possible. The men and women behind the scenes. The true spirit of the Olympic Winter Games. Ask your doctor about Celebrex, official supporter of the 2002 U.S. Olympic team.
NBC Sunday at 8, 7 Central starts with another Celebrity Weakest Link.
Yada, yada, yada!
Featuring your favorite Seinfeld sidekicks.
No soup for you!
Then, an all-new Law & Order Criminal Intent. A psychologist pleads insanity to murder. Is he crazy or crazy like a fox?
She will give herself to you!
Then, Treat Williams guest stars on an all-new UC Undercover. Weakest Link Seinfeld sidekicks. All-new Law & Order Criminal Intent and UC Undercover. It's an all-new NBC Sunday.
Nexium.
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 Nexium. People are asking their doctors about it. And if you call 1-800-4-NEXIUM, you'll learn about a free trial offer.
Today's purple pill is Nexium. Why just use Febreze on the dog bed? After all, lots of everyday odors aren't as obvious. At least to you. Clean away odors all over the house. And Febreze will leave a freshness you'll notice.
Smells nice in here.
The more you use it, the more you love it. Febreze.
NBC News in depth, teaching our children. This week, the new education bill became law. It calls for $26 billion in federal spending, mandatory testing in reading, math, and science, and $1 billion for literacy programs. But many educators are worried about tying test results to funding. In depth, here's Rahama Ellis.
Everybody get your book ready.
The fourth graders of the Mount Vernon, New York school system are doing plenty of reading these days.
Now, listen.
With statewide tests coming at the end of the month, students hope to continue a turnaround that began 3 years ago. In 1999, only 35% of Mount Vernon's fourth graders passed the state exam. Last year, a dramatic improvement. The number had more than doubled to 74%. For teachers like James Newsom, who saw 100% of his students succeed, testing works.
What I appreciate testing for is that it will bring us to teach according to higher aims and standards.
Superintendent Ronald Ross, who arrived 3 years ago, found a suburban school district of over 10,000 predominantly poor minority students, a district known for its chronic violence and academic failures.
I took over a failing poor school system. I could have spread the money out equally among the elementary, middle, and high schools and gotten no results. I chose to do what I call educational triage. I had 3 dying patients. I concentrated on the youngest.
By bringing in a program coordinator with 30 years' experience in language arts, Ross was able to institute an intensive curriculum integrating reading and writing into every aspect of the school day. Teachers were given more preparation time, and teaching skills were reviewed with reading specialists. At the same time, elementary school principals were asked to forge a partnership between the classroom and the home.
In today's education, it's difficult for just the school to do it alone. It's difficult for the parents to do it, so we need to be able to work together.
For many, the Mount Vernon school system should be a model for how schools across the country can succeed under the new federal education plan, which mandates nationwide testing of students grades 3 through 8. But surprisingly, the architect of Mount Vernon's stunning turnaround in test scores adamantly opposes tying federal funding to those schools.
This is a good bill for the American children, and I'm proud to sign it in their presence.
Watching the president sign the $26 billion legislation this week, Superintendent Ross worries the public will see this as a quick fix for all the problems of public education.
$26 billion, roughly $500 million per state. That's a drop in the bucket. We could spend that alone in New York State. There are 49 other states, and it wouldn't begin to do what we need to do.
There must be real consequences.
And Ross fears the rush to punish failing schools will only hurt the successful ones.
If you talk about a test and you don't pass it, well, let's close that school. And where will we put the children when we close it? In a good school that's working, that now becomes overcrowded, and it too will fail?
While the new law calls for grading schools on student performance, many will be grading the law on what it does for schools. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, New York.
When we come back, a former priest faces trial on charges of sexual abuse.
Make any resolutions this year?
I'm watching my figure.
Well, watch it get a little bigger, because you need 3 bowls of that to get the vitamin E in total.
There goes one.
Here's what you need for the zinc in total.
Ooh, I thought this was good for my diet.
Not if you want Total's calcium.
Can I change my resolution?
Only Total has 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals you need. No other leading cereal comes close.
I'll take the Total. But you are going to help me clean this up, right?
Total Raisin Bran, Total Cornflakes. What are you getting for breakfast?
How does your gray beard or mustache reflect on you? Man, how cold. Get vitamin-enriched Just for Men gel. The Rejuvenator, specially made to penetrate coarse gray in 5 minutes and match your hair. The Rejuvenator Just for Men gel.
So, set up a department meeting for tomorrow and put in a call to the client. Get them up to speed. Anything else?
Here's a thought. Instead of saving money by not using paper, we could just go to Staples.
Yeah, with Staples 365 savings, they compare prices and back it up with a 110% price match guarantee.
I like that. Jot that down.
Low prices on every item, every day. Staples 365 savings. Yeah, we've got that.
At Bank of America, we really wanted to participate in the Olympic Winter Games. But in the end, we decided to support the real athletes and stick to the things we do best, like eliminating 80% of all upfront paperwork to make the mortgage process less painful.
Is 106 cubic feet of interior space really necessary? As a matter of fact, it is. Avalon, the most spacious sedan we've ever created.
On trial next week, a former priest. The charge, the sexual abuse of children. It is an issue that the Catholic Church has been grappling with for many years. NBC News chief legal correspondent Dan Abrams has more on a story that has shaken the city.
It was a painful admission. The leader of the Catholic Church in Boston apologizes to all children who've been sexually abused by priests.
Today, that apology is made in a special way with heartfelt sorrow to those abused by John Gagan.
Father Gagan, defrocked in 1998, is charged with sexually abusing more than 130 children in Boston parishes over 3 decades. On Monday, the first of 2 criminal trials is scheduled to begin. The case will once again bring attention to how the Boston Archdiocese dealt with the allegations. How quickly did they respond? Why didn't they do more? It could even shed light on how the Vatican has dealt with pedophilia. Just this past week, new Vatican guidelines made public. All accusations of sexual abuse by priests are now to be reported to Rome, where church investigations and punishments would be conducted in secret tribunals.
If they're found guilty, the penalties are, the worst is excommunication. Otherwise, you are forced out of the priesthood.
But victim and reform advocate Phil Saviano says that won't help the problem.
These are crimes, and they need to be reported to civil authorities. You need to get the police involved who are experienced in conducting investigations. But what the church has always wanted to do is keep it a secret within the organization.
This week in Boston, Cardinal Bernard Law issued new local policies for dealing with pedophile priests. 0 tolerance. The police will now be notified unless the information was discovered during confessionals or spiritual counseling. Some say that is too little, too late.
I just hate to think that it took this much for them to open up. It's almost like they're forced.
And now they'll be forced to deal with it again, as John Gagan faces a jury accused of conduct that violates the basic tenets of the church. Dan Abrams, NBC News, New York.
Now, keeping America's airports safe. Beyond searching bags, sending passengers through metal detectors, and keeping an eye out for suspicious behavior, what could be done? Here's NBC's Kevin Tibbles and how the eyes could be the window to a terrorist's soul.
Security at the nation's airports could one day become as simple as looking into someone's eyes. With the advent of a heat-detecting camera, inventors have simply called the lying machine.
The soul of the system is a thermal camera, which you see up here.
The brainchild of scientists at the Mayo Clinic and Honeywell, this tiny eye can literally detect when someone begins to sweat after being questioned. And unlike traditional lie detectors, it can all be done without having to hook the subject up to a machine or even without their knowledge.
There's a very primal, a very, very basic response that people's faces make when they're lying. And what there is there's warming around the eye socket.
The heat-sensitive lens transmits this change in body temperature to a video screen. The extra blood rushing to the eyes makes the area appear white. In a matter of seconds, security personnel could be alerted that a passenger is possibly lying.
A couple of seconds after the end of the question and answer session, the computer will give you its verdict.
Critics of the lying machine say it simply targets those people who are nervous and could wrongly focus in on those afraid of flying. But its inventors say the actual liars could easily be caught in subsequent security checks.
Here, boarding pass.
What will have to change, though, is the type of questions security personnel ask. Straightforward questions get the best results.
In our laboratory experiments that were conducted at the Department of Defense, the system was 83% accurate.
It's pretty hard to ask everybody a series of questions, but I do think security is going down the direction where it's going to be more and more of that variety.
So far, this heat-detecting technology has cost $250,000 to develop and is at least 2 years away from commercial use. But if perfected, the security guard of the future may be able to see through the eyes of deception. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Chicago.
And when we come back, home of the brave, the fight to honor a hero.
We went on a Disney cruise with Mickey and Goofy. I had my own club and my mom had a mud bath with Daddy.
The ship had a great spa. No, honey.
And guess what? At the island, Captain Hook was there.
You just get back?
About a year ago.
That was my baby brother. His name is Joe, but Mom calls him a little souvenir.
Obviously, we all had a great time.
Disney Cruise Line. Come, discover uncharted magic.
If your pencils look like mine did, there's something you can do. Ask your doctor if the Nicotrol inhaler is right for you. Or for more information, call 1-800-INHALER. Call today.
Some women solve problems before they start. Little ones and big ones. Introducing today from One-A-Day. Today is the only complete multivitamin made with soy for your heart, plus 5 essential bone-building nutrients. Anticipate problems before they start. A better tomorrow starts with today. New from One A Day.
What's for lunch?
Chicken stars.
Condensed soup? You're an adult now. There's a better tasting soup. Progresso chicken noodle has all white meat chicken and bigger vegetables. See the difference?
This is better.
Now, about this glass.
It's time to go to the better taste of Progresso.
Fighting pain's not the same after the Icy Hot Patch.
I'll put it on and the pain's gone.
The Icy Hot Patch's concentrated relief goes on icy to dull the pain. Gets hot to relax it away for hours of relief.
It's still working.
The Icy Hot Patch. Pain has met its match.
If this is what you sometimes call breakfast, remember one thing. You are what you eat. So next time, try something good. Nutri-Grain. With whole grain oats, real fruit, and calcium. Nutri-Grain. Respect yourself in the morning.
Sunday, the Enron collapse. Top execs make money, workers lose life savings. Did political connections play a role? The investigation. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Inside the real West Wing, NBC 1 week from Wednesday.
Finally tonight, home of the brave, a hero of the First World War, honored overseas and nearly forgotten at home. Here's NBC's Joe Johns.
Tribute to Sergeant Henry Johnson, U.S. Infantry, at Arlington National Cemetery. This African-American soldier from New York, almost unknown until recently. Johnson's own son thought his dad had been buried in a pauper's grave. Come to find out he was here in this place of honor all the time. The question now, whether more recognition is deserved.
When they ask me, do I think it's racism because he hasn't or did not receive the Congressional Medal of Honor? And I say certainly.
Fact is, Sergeant Johnson is a hero in France, fought with other black soldiers in the First World War under French command, won the highest military honor France could give, the Croix de Guerre. He got it for single-handedly taking on a German raiding party in 1918 and getting shot 21 times in the process. But Johnson, like many black soldiers in World War I, was valued more by a foreign government than the nation he served.
It is true that the French did not have the emotional and cultural baggage that the United States military command had in those days.
Decades later, President Clinton awarded Johnson a posthumous Purple Heart, but now the governor of New York has joined a push to give Johnson the Medal of Honor.
When Teddy Roosevelt spoke of World War I, he talked about the five bravest Americans, and one of those he cited was Sergeant Henry Johnson from Albany.
The Pentagon says the Johnson case is under review. All told, more than 3,400 people have received the Medal of Honor. Of those, only one African-American has been so honored for heroism in World War I.
There has been a great wrong done in history by overlooking the gallantry of those men of color who fought there.
After more than 80 years, a chance to re-examine a chapter of history. Joe Johns, NBC News, Washington.
And that's NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt, sitting in tonight for John Siegenthaler. We'll see you back here tomorrow night. Good night, everyone.
NBC News, America's news leader.
Dateline Sunday, the hockey death trial. A children's practice leads to a fight between two fathers. One of them wound up dead.
We grabbed each other by the shoulders and we were going like this.
Now the jury has a verdict. The whole story, a Dateline Court TV exclusive, Sunday, 7/6 Central on NBC.
News alerts from MSNBC.com. Get news alerts right to your desktop. The world doesn't stop while you're at work. Log on to download now.
No.
Is it Dan calling to sympathize?
Hello?
Or Dave?
It's Dave.
Calling to rub it in. Know now. Order caller ID, pay no activation fee, and get your first month free.
Game? What game?
You just gotta know where to go.
Is it Ethan from the cafe?
Hello?
Or the Rickster